come to find it, you found it. I'm your host, Debbie Bettendorf. But it's not about me, it's about Robbie. Let me tell you what I see. Seems he didn't come from a lot, but he never makes excuses and he gives it all he's got. He said, I'm going to take my life and my drive and go online and create a community to let them shine. Robbie's going to be right with us. And he's going to tell it to us straight. And guess what? He's going to inspire us. He's going to educate us and motivate. Let's go. Hey, little birdie told me he likes to rap. Thanks, Joe Ingram. Let's get this party started. Lynn, show's intro, Robbie Cornelius. We'll be right back. Hey, Robbie's in the house.
This is a good video. That was amazing. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You know, Joe Ingram, I called him. I'm like, you have anything on Robbie? And he's like, hey, Robbie will give it to you. He's going to tell it to you straight. And he said he might even rap for you. So I don't know. I think maybe at some point. So I thought, well, maybe I could start it out, make a little rap. And then mine's more like rhyming. Let's be real. But I gave it a shot. But maybe at some point you can just break out and rap for us. Can you
never know what'll come out of my mouth. I'll tell you that.
All right. So hang tight, everybody watching. We might get a little rap action going on here. So, hey, everybody's popping in. Hey, everybody. Glad to see people watching live already. It's awesome. I am so excited. Robbie Cornelius, I've learned a little bit about you. There's so much I don't know. So I want to jump right in there, and I want you to take full screen and tell us a little bit about where'd you come from?
I'm from Valdosta, Georgia, Lowndes County, Georgia, deep south. Everybody says humble beginnings, but really humble beginnings. My family is from Morven, Georgia, one traffic light. And we migrated over to Valdosta, Georgia, and had a very hard upbringing coming up early. When I say hard, very hard. A lot of violence, a lot of financial struggle. And I had a near-death experience at the age of 7. So a lot of those colorful events really painted a perception of reality for me that didn't serve me that well in the beginning. And through all of that, I've managed to change the quality of my life experience by changing my mindset.
Well, if you don't mind, what happened when you were 7, near death?
Yeah, so at the age of 7, we're leaving my aunt's house, and I'm in the back seat of my mother's car. And I'm mad at my mom at the time because she wouldn't allow my cousin to come stay the night with us. So I'm in the back seat pouting, and we get to a junction in the road, and I'm looking out the side window where I'm sitting at. The light turns green for us. We proceed to go. And in 2 seconds, my life changed. I was hit in the face by a red Cherokee Jeep, and it actually knocked a plug out of my forehead. I had to have plastic surgery. Yeah, that was at 7. And I was saved that day by a guy by the name of John. He owned a fabrication company called John's Body Shop. He pulled me out of the car as the car was spinning around, and he laid me down on the sidewalk, and I'm in and out of consciousness. And I actually, this might sound a little weird, but I actually saw myself at one point laying on the ground. And then after that, I woke up in the hospital, and it was a couple of days later. I'm covered in bandages. My face is sore. And so that was the first real bad experience I remember. And then
Mm.
after that, it was just a snowball of being surrounded by violence, poverty, you name it.
My gosh, well, at what point, because now, I mean, I see you all over and I see the good things that you're doing. I talk to a lot of
Yeah.
people who are in your mastermind classes that you provide for people to help coach. And I just wonder, with your humble beginnings and the violence and all of those things, how does someone like you, with going through all of that, become the Robbie Cornelius who's sitting in front of us right now?
Yeah. So the story goes, that's a really great question. So I grew up being very afraid. I was very afraid of life. I was very afraid of my father because my father was very abusive to my mother. He was very abusive to myself and my younger brother. So I grew up being very afraid. And then one night rather, about 3 o'clock in the morning, we woke up to hear my mother screaming in the next room. And it was my father. He was beating on my mother. And I think at the time, maybe I'm 13 years old. I jump up and I run and I kick down the door.
Mm.
And my dad is trying to get to my mother. She's screaming. And I tell my dad to leave my mother alone. And he walks over and he hits me in the face like I was a stranger.
Mm.
And that day, that night, that took the fear away from me. I know I was no longer fearful anymore. It's like he knocked the fear out of me, if that
Wow.
makes sense. And when he did that, I lost my fear. I didn't care about anything or anyone anymore, really.
Mm.
And so my anger, or excuse me, my fear turned into anger. uh a prey turned into the predator. And so I became this guy that wasn't going to take anything from anybody. I just got hit in the face by the man that brought me into the world. So I'm not gonna have any remorse for anybody else. And that's kind of how I saw the world for a while. And what I did is I grew up rapping. I love rap music. And rap music actually helped me process and release a lot of the anger that I held inside of myself. I held that anger towards my father. I held it towards the world. And I used that music to heal myself in a way, as weird as it sounds. My father ended up passing away when I was 16 on his birthday, ironically. He just died. And we were not on good terms when he died. And so I'll tell you how bad it was. It was so bad that at my dad's funeral, I smiled because I knew I didn't have to live in fear of him anymore.
Oh, wow, Robbie.
That's how bad it was. I'm like, man, I don't have to live in fear of him anymore. But then there's another thought went through my mind. I'm like, I grew up in poverty. I had a near death experience. I'd been shot at. I'd seen death. I'd seen violence my whole life. I think I'm going to be a gangster. I made a conscious choice to be what I perceive to be a bad guy. I wasn't a bad guy. I was just not going to run from anybody.
Mhm.
And so I wrote about the harsh realities that I grew up in, and I perceived the world to be a thing that was out to get me. Everybody was out to get me. The world is not here for me. It doesn't like people
Mm.
like me. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Everything was in that mindset. Everything is, you're kind of taught to believe that everything is the white man's fault in many
Mhm.
different ways. And I held that mindset until one day, at the age of 27, I decided I was going to take my life.
Oh,
And
wait,
I
how
was
old?
empty, 27 years old.
Okay, 27.
Yeah. I'm about to be 40 this year. So at 27, I decided, I'm like, you know what? I was starting to become kind of popular as a rapper. And I did my last show in Ogden, Utah. I was so depressed that I felt nothing on the inside, literally nothing.
Mm.
And I got home off the road, and a friend of mine that dropped me off at the house, his name was Jimmy. I told Jimmy that I'll see him later, knowing that I'm thinking about going to do this other thing.
Mm.
And right before I decided to do that, it's like I had my soul really started to speak to me for the first time. Like I'm at the end of my wits. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I just don't want to be here anymore. Like I don't care. There's nothing I really care about. And all of a sudden my soul starts to speak to me, and it's like, Robbie, you've been blaming everybody else for your issues. And I'm just having this dialogue with myself, like basically trying to justify taking my own life. But here's my consciousness kind of going to war with that thought. And my consciousness is like, you've blamed everybody. You've blamed everything. You blame your father. Your father is no longer here. He's been dead since you were 16. You've blamed the government. You've blamed everything, but you haven't really blamed yourself for anything.
Mm.
And I'm just kind of thinking like, man,
Mm. Yeah.
this could be right. And
Mm.
so I thought to myself, wow, have I been pointing the finger at everybody else except for myself? I used one story of me having a near-death experience. I built everything else on top of that. Although I did grow up in a very abusive household, although we did struggle financially, I realized that everything sat on the story of that near-death experience, because when I went back to school, people felt sorry for me when I told them what happened to me. I didn't have to do homework. So my natural state was to give people the sob story when I
Ah.
came across them.
Uh-huh.
I learned that
Wow.
story got sympathy,
Yeah.
right? And so what I was doing is, now I'm at this place where I'm empty on the inside,
Mm.
and nobody feels sorry for me because I'm 27 years old. Nobody's coming to save me.
Yeah.
Nobody is saying, Robbie, you don't have to do your homework anymore. Nobody cares. And now I'm just like, I'm empty. And so
Mm.
this idea was this insight that just really rained down on me was, what if you tried to live as if you were totally responsible for the quality of your life experience? And I'm like, what does that look like? But that means you can't blame anybody for anything. Try it for the next 30 days, see how it goes. When
Wait
you
a minute.
find
And this is
yourself,
an inner dialogue with
this is
yourself
a
at
this
your
is an inner
lowest point.
dialogue at my lowest point. It's like when I because I didn't care about dying. I lost the fear of dying. I did not care about that. And it's like, because I lost the fear of that, this other portal opened up that allowed me to have this unrestricted stream of consciousness come through and kind of challenge that perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm having this dialogue with myself, and I'm just like, wow. And what does that look like? Well, it means you can't blame anybody. When you find yourself wanting to blame somebody else, stop in the middle of that and don't do it. Don't let the words come out of your mouth. And so right after I made that decision, I said, okay, I'm gonna give this a try. What if, because immediately when I had this idea dawn on me, I started to feel lighter. Like when I had the thought, and then automatically I started to feel a little lighter. And I'm like, what is that? What is that about? And I realized that for once and for all, for once in my life, rather, I now had instructions that allowed me to understand that I could possibly do something about my circumstances, because I no longer could blame anybody else. Couldn't blame the white man, the government, couldn't blame my dad, couldn't blame my mom, couldn't blame the neighbors, couldn't blame my school system, couldn't blame the city that I was living in. It was like, this is your life. What if you just decided to drive your vehicle? And instead of complaining why somebody else is not doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, what an interesting thought. And what
Mm.
that did for me, it's like that. I said, okay, mentally, I'm like, I'll try this out. And it's like when I made that crystal clear decision to try it out, the next thing happened for me, and you'll never guess what that was. I literally go in the living room, I sit down on the couch, I turn on Netflix, and right in front of me was this thing called The Secret. And it was The Secret by Rhonda Burns. And
Mm.
it was all about the law of attraction. And I'm like, as soon as Bob Proctor started speaking, the hairs on my arms stood up, and I'm like, whoa, this is it. Like, he says, we are all controlled by one law. We're all controlled by the same force. And when he
Mm-hmm.
said that, I'm like, what is he talking about? We're all controlled by our thoughts and our vibrations. And I'm like, oh my God. Because I played the role of a victim, I put myself in situations that allowed me to be victimized.
Wow.
That was the way I was trained to look at the world.
Yeah.
And so Rhonda Byrne, if I ever met her, I would give her a big hug, because she was the next step that saved my life. Because of that movie, because of me making that decision, the day that I thought about taking my own life, the day that I made the decision to give it another 30 days led me to sit down on the couch, pull up Netflix, and it's like the universe just says, okay, now watch this movie.
That was divine timing, Robbie, if I've ever
Yeah,
heard it.
it was wow. Changed my life, changed everything for me.
Wow.
And it taught me how to be responsible for my own thoughts. And so you asked me, how did I get to this point? I'll get there
That's
now.
the beginning, isn't it? That
Yeah,
was
that's
the
the
beginning
beginning.
of, yeah.
So how I got there, remember, my father died at 16, when I was 16, on his birthday. My last words to my father was literally, I'm gonna kill you. And the reason why I said that is because my brother went to stay with him, and he ended up jumping on my brother really bad.
Okay.
And I was so upset, I was so hurt by it, that I wanted to fight my own dad, And I called him up. I was like, I can kill you, and never got to do it. He never got to address him about that situation, because he ended up having a heart attack on his birthday. They found him in his apartment days later. But here's how I got to this point. Through the law of attraction, through The Secret, one of the characters in that film mentioned meditation. And I'm like, oh, I'd been hearing about meditation here and there throughout my life. Thought it was this weird thing that crazy people did, sitting in the corner humming.
Da-na-na-na-na.
Yeah.
Ringy-dingy
So
heights.
I'm kind of alone to myself at the time, and I'm like, I need to learn how to control my thoughts. I know I need to do that. And it seems like this meditation thing could be the way to do it. And so I went to the library then. This is back when you still went to the library for the most part.
You had to
So I
get a
went to the
book.
library, and I checked out every single book I could find on meditation, everything. And what I realized is that reading about meditation wasn't going to give me the benefits of meditating. So I had to now go from being a consumer to someone that was a practitioner. And so my first day meditating, Deepak Chopra and a lot of these books I was reading was just talking about the importance of a mantra. And my mantra was, I forgive you.
Aw.
I don't know where this came from. I don't know
Mm.
why. I just heard forgiveness was powerful throughout my whole life. But I never really tried it, right? I never knew how to use it, or forgiveness. Like, how do you forgive somebody, right? So what I did is one day in meditation, I sit down, I close my eyes, I place my hand over my heart. And all of a sudden, I got these really strong emotions coming up inside of myself, like stuff that I can tell has been there since I was a kid. And a lot of it was very painful. But as it came up, I would simply say to the emotion, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. I forgive you, I forgive you. And I would do, and this would go on and on and on and on. And so about 15 or 20 minutes into it, an image of my dad popped in my mind for the first time since I was 16, consciously rather. And I almost came out of meditation, but something told me to sit there with it and just keep saying, I forgive you to the emotion. Ignore your dad, but focus on the emotion you feel related to your dad. And I just sat there, I forgive you. And all of a sudden, Debbie, I felt like somebody removed a thick wall of pent up emotions off of my chest, and the weight of the world was lifted off of my shoulder, and I cried like a baby. Cried, like I was laughing, crying, like that type of crying, not sad, but like just crying.
It was like this big
Tears
release,
of joy.
probably.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I got to the point where I forgave so much that this sounds weird, but in meditation, if you sit there long enough, you will get to this place to where you feel like you are one with the environment. So I got to this place where I felt like I felt so emotionally free that it felt like I didn't even have a body.
Yeah.
And I sat in that for 20, 30 minutes longer. And I come out of that, I pick up the phone, I call my mom. I said, Mom, you have to forgive Dad. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, none of us ever forgave him. Like, we got to forgive him. That's the only way you're going to be emotionally free. Like, I'm free now. Like, I don't have hatred in my heart for anybody on this earth, not even myself. Like, I'm free. I call up everybody that I know. Hey, you got to forgive everybody, person, place, and thing. You got to forgive everybody. Like, that's the key. And so I just lived in that. I fell in love with this new vibe. What it did is it put me in a new vibration, and my body became addicted to that vibration because I practice forgiveness every day through meditation. And my body became so addicted to that. Okay. And it's just been, look at Joe. My body became so addicted to that. Joe, this is my signature pose. My body became so addicted to the vibrational frequency that forgiveness introduced me to. And that became my dominant state. I stayed in that. And what I did, Debbie, is believe it or not, I was still poor. I didn't have any money, but I experienced 365 days of uninterrupted happiness.
Wow.
And what that meant for me. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that is right there, wealth.
Yeah,
Having
absolutely.
happiness, because
I
we
was
all
so
know that
happy.
money can't buy happiness.
Yeah. And for the
I mean,
first
it's
time in my
good. It's
life,
nice to have. I mean, come on, right?
I like I like a little
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
But I realized that I could be happy without anything. And it was through forgiveness. And so forgiveness meditation led me here. So here's what happened through that one event. Mind you, before that, I was still drinking, still smoking, still partying, still running around with women and things. I quit everything cold turkey in one day.
Wow.
I no longer smoked. I no longer partied. I no longer chased women. I stopped hanging around. I called
Those
up a
poor
meeting.
women.
I called up a meeting with all of my friends at the time, and I called them over to my house. And I said, be at my house. It was my girlfriend's house at the time, Leanna, who's now my wife. we wasn't dating then, but we started dating later. Long story short, I told them to meet me at her house because I need them to see something because I'm about to change everything. And so when they got there, about 8 of them showed up. I played the movie The Secret for them. And they were like, "What in the world is this?" And by the end of it, most of them were asleep. And and at the end of the movie, I woke everybody up. I said, "Hey, I appreciate you coming by. I just wanted to show you this because this has influenced my life, and I'm going in a different direction. I want you to go with me, but if not, it's all good. I'm about to change my life. We probably won't talk again, and I want to let you know that now before I become rich. So you won't say that the money changed me. I'm gonna change while I don't have anything." And I never talked to those guys again.
Oh my gosh. This
I gave
is okay.
everybody,
So first of all, the secret we all
yeah,
know now in this the saga that is Robbie and the story of your life, that was a
yeah,
gift divinely guided for you. That movie meant something to you because that's what you needed in the moment. So,
yes.
you always have to meet people where they are, and those people were not ready for
They
what
were
you
not ready.
were ready for. But
Yeah.
these people, were they doing bad things or something, and that's why you never talked to them again, or they
Well,
just didn't align at all with your new self?
there was a lot of guys that I started to walk away from that were doing bad things. We all were.
Okay.
Um, but I'd already walked away from that set of guys. The other guys that were left, they were pretty good guys. But what I knew is this: It's kind of like I've never been on hardcore drugs, but what I've seen from family members that have been on hardcore drugs is that when you're getting off drugs, you don't go hang around a crack house.
Right.
As a recovering pessimist, I knew I couldn't be around other pessimists. As someone that wanted to elevate my life, I couldn't hang around other people that continue to have a victim mentality. They were not bad people. It's just that I saw
Mm,
myself, this meditation experience changed everything for me, and I saw myself in a different light, and I could
mm.
not jeopardize that by continuing to build those same relationships because you know what I
So
had
smart,
to
so
change.
smart.
I had to change my character. And it's hard to change your character when you're around people that expect you to show up a certain way.
Mhm.
So they were good people necessarily, but I knew that I could not show up as the new Robbie in front
Right.
of people that I'd been this street guy with. I had to disassociate myself. And I thought about military people. When you go to the military, the first thing they do is pull you out of your natural habitat, and they deploy you to a new environment so they can program you. So I had to pull myself out of that environment to make sure that this stuff stuck with me, that I wouldn't be tempted to go chase the women or go party or go drink. I had to remove it out of my life. And I never looked back. And I'll stop there. I'll let you go.
No,
I could talk forever.
I'm it's impressive, what you've done. It's smart, it's wise, it's almost, a lot of people aren't able to do what you did. They don't have the strength to disassociate so they can stay on a path of their new selves and better themselves.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's impressive in itself. Um, I just feel like everything that you've said so far is so powerful. And I guess a question for me that I think that was when you had the meditation experience, watched The
Yeah.
Secret, all of that, that was when you were 27. So
Yeah.
you're so that was about 12 years ago, per
Mm-hmm.
a little bit. So
Yep.
from the age of 27 and this new path, when did you really get your footing and, become who you are now?
So it started that day. I knew I had to change my character. I had to become a jolly person. I had to become a happy person. I had to be real happy, not like happy because I had money, because I had no money. And so I did a year of that, 365 days of uninterrupted happiness. And then one day I woke up, I'm like, you know what? I'm happy, but I'm poor. I can't even afford to buy a hamburger. And I said, well, I don't want to work for anybody. So I go to that's a good question. I can answer that a little later. They're really good though, both of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're good, good. And we have a lot. I want to say, and then I want you to continue. I'm enthralled in this. People that are watching, and we see your
So
questions and
so
we see your comments, and we will get to you. Hang tight because it means a lot to Robbie and I that you're here. Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And shouts out to Joe Ingram. Love you, bro. I appreciate you for tremendously. Um, but what I did is I said to myself, so I did a bold move. My wife actually, I tell this because it's true, not because I'm trying to make myself look a certain way, but my wife pursued me, right? Like when, I was out there and running around, and she was like, well, if we can't date, I don't want to be friends. I'm like, well, I don't want to date. you know, I don't want to date. I don't ever want to be married. I don't want to be, that's like, I'm that kind of guy. I'm straight up. I'm just like, I don't, I have to live being true to myself. And I was honest with her. So then, long story short, we ended up dating. And I'm like, well, I got to be true. I got to be true to her. Um, I'm going to tell her that I don't want to work for anybody. I don't want to work. I don't want to clock in. To me, that was sucking my soul. Like I just, I've had multiple jobs, and I just knew I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to clock in for another person. Like I felt like I was better. I know that sounds weird, but I felt like I was better than that, to be
It's
honest.
good. Yeah, be honest. This is what this is
Being
about.
honest, yeah, I feel like I was better than that. And I said, so I went in there. I'm like, hey, I don't want to work for anybody. And I'm like, she's like, and I'm like, yeah. And I want to kind of like just sit here and like figure myself out. And I'm going to figure this internet thing out, and I'm going to make some money online. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, yeah. And like, if you can pay the bills right now, like, like that'll help me out tremendously, and that'll help me, discover what I'm supposed to be doing. And just like a true champ, she's just like, all right,
Wow.
never bothered me about it. So I got to just kind of sit there and just find myself out, and figure out what I wanted to do. I knew that the internet changed my life. It expanded me to a wider audience with my music. So I'm like, laying on the beach one day on vacation, on a vacation that I could not afford, that I did not pay one dime to go on. My wife was girlfriend was funding everything. We probably were on vacation with like $200 or something after we
Yeah.
paid for the rooms or whatever. So I'm there. I'm mad. I don't want to go. And I'm like, I didn't want to go, and I'm mad. I'm sitting laying on the beach, kind of not mad, but I'm like just pouting, like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. I'm laying on the beach. I'm closing my eyes, and all of a sudden I have this other thought. And this thought was, you know what? What if you could make like something simple, like what if you could make 10 cents for every minute of the day or something like that? Like something small. My brain had to break it down to the ridiculous.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, yeah, that would be good. And I'm laying there and I'm like, how could I make money every minute of the day? And then it dawned on me, the internet. I'm like, oh, the internet. The internet is always on 24 hours a day. It doesn't need time off. It doesn't get sick. Like I can do something online. And so I was so fired up on vacation. I was going to go back home when we got off vacation, and I was going to figure this thing out. And so I went back and I started searching how to make money online. This was probably 2012 or 13. How to make
Mhm.
money online, and things like Secret Shopper would show up, and I'm signing up for Secret Shopper. And there was a problem with, I got accepted to be a secret shopper, but that was a problem. I didn't have a car to go to the place to secret shop.
Oh,
And even
shoot.
if I had a car to secret shop, I didn't have the money to actually buy the product so they could reimburse me. So I ended up getting these deals sent to my email. I never got an opportunity to go do a secret shopper. So then it was like, okay, well, fill out surveys and you'll get paid to fill out surveys. And I'm like, okay, I'll fill out surveys. And I filled out surveys, and after like an hour, I look at the account and it's like 25 cents in the account, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do
Oh,
it. And so I went through trial and error over and a million times, trying this thing and that thing. And then I'm like, by the way, I believe in the law of attraction. I'm sitting here meditating and visualizing every day. Why isn't my check showing up in the mail?
where is it? It's
Where is it?
nowhere. It's just
Here's the
it's in
crazy
your mind.
here's the crazy part. One day I go to the mailbox and there's a check in there. It's a $900 check out of the blue, a $900 check. And I look at it and I'm like, what? It's got my name on it. It's like, what? And then I open it up and the check says to go take it to the post office to cash it. Right. And I'm like, that's weird to go to the post office to cash it. And I went to the post office. I gave it to the person behind the counter. They looked at it. They looked at me. They looked at it. They looked at me. And they were like, where did you get this from? I'm like, it came in the mail. It was like, yeah, hold on a second. And I was like, okay. So they come back. They was like, I hate to tell you, but this is a scam. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was so broke that I was just like, law of attraction is real. This manifested for me $900. Meanwhile, it's a scam. So anyway, I went through so I went through so much. I went through so much. I was so broke that I would go on dates with my girlfriend and her parents, and we would be out to dinner. I would be like, hey, slide me your card under the table so it looks like I'm paying for the meal, you know? And
You know what? I saw something where you had said you called yourself Broke Robbie, and that made me laugh so hard
yeah,
when you called yourself Broke
absolutely.
Robbie.
Yeah, a lot of people like broke Robbie. They liked when they were over me, right?
Yeah, but
And
not anymore. Joe
yeah,
Ingram, you got a check in the mail, so it worked. You didn't say it had to be a good check. You got to be real
exactly.
specific
It
when you're
did work.
manifesting, Robbie.
But you know what? When that check happened, that did prove to me that it worked. I didn't get like I'm like, oh, it works. I gotta, like you said, I gotta be more specific, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, we struggled for a very long time. When we met, our rent was like $300 because we had roommates and we struggled to pay that. And then we went to a place that was like $750 a month. We struggled to pay that. We went to
Yeah.
a place not so we just kept going for bigger and bigger and bigger, manifesting more and more and more. And every single time we would magically have the
Find
money
a
to
way.
pay. Yeah, it just magically worked. And so anyway, when we got to the place where we were paying like maybe it was 875 for rent, we thought we were doing it. Like, oh, we got a 2-story house, we're renting it, but it was in a neighborhood that I always admired as a kid. And here's the crazy part.
Um,
When I we used to ride by this house, we saw the for rent sign in the yard, and it was being marketed by this company by the name of Anchor Realty. So at night we would pass by that house, and one night I said, you know what, let's just go in the front yard and like sit there and kind of like visualize ourselves in that house. And so we pull up in the driveway. We did this like 3 nights in a row. We pull up, we sit in the car, shining the lights on the house, and we just kind of sit there and visualize. And then I look at her and I said, you know, I made $100,000 in that room right there. It was a little room attached to the end of the house. Like it used to be a carport, but they turned it into this like spare room. So I started speaking in past tense, like I've already done it, right? So I said I made $100,000 in that room right there. I'd never made that much money ever at that point. So long story short, a couple of days later, we applied for the house. We got the house. We ended up getting approved for it. That was miraculous because both of us had poor credit at the time. And then about, I don't know how long it was after we moved in, but my girlfriend's parents had bought her a brand new laptop. And while she was at work trying to make money to pay the bills, I ended up breaking her laptop screen in one day.
Oh,
Not to mention, I don't have any money. So I got to call her while she's at work
Oh,
and say, "Hey, are you sitting down right now?" No, why? Well, I'm sorry. I'm just going to tell you, I made a mistake and broke your laptop screen. She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I can fix it." I couldn't fix it. I didn't know if I could fix it. I thought I could, but I didn't know. I'd never done it before. But I said I could fix it. I said I even found a replacement screen on Amazon. Okay. And I said, I can order one. She says, all right. I said, can you give me your card number so I can order it? I had to use her card number to order a
oh
replacement screen.
no. She
So
believed in you though. It's obvious. She
she
always
did.
believed in you.
She just, and that probably, I think it cost like 30, $40. That was probably her last 30, $40 to replace that screen. So she gave me the card number. I ordered the screen from Amazon. This was probably like a Wednesday or a Thursday. And I grew up garage selling.
Uh-huh.
So that Saturday, we scraped up a couple of coins to go garage selling. And believe it or not, I still like garage selling and crazy.
Yeah.
I
Fun.
love treasure hunting. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah. That's fun.
Um, but we go garage selling that Saturday, and I get back home that Saturday afternoon. First of all, while I was out shopping, I had like 25 cents in my name. Literally, I bought this book from the garage sale that I'm like, oh, this old rustic looking book will look good on my bookshelf, you know. And so I bought the book with my last 25 cents. Get back home, and there's a Amazon box on the front door, and I'm like, oh my god, there's the package, and now I got to prove that I can actually fix this thing. And what if I hook it up and it doesn't work, and I ruined her brand new laptop, right? All this stuff is going through my mind. I'm like, oh my heart's beating out of my chest. And so I pick up the box, and it doesn't say it was shipped from Amazon. It said it was shipped from like some electronic company in another state. And I was like, I could have swore I ordered this off of Amazon. Like, I don't smoke pot anymore, so I can't be, I can't have memory loss right now. Like, I know I ordered this off of Amazon, but it doesn't matter. It's here. Let me go in here and fix this thing. So sure enough, I get on YouTube and I Google how to change the screen. It showed me, the video showed me, I followed directions. I plug in the last little cord, hit power, and voila, it came on. I was like,
Ta-da! Rocking and rolling.
and then, so this is how I got here. So then I look at the box that the screen came in, and I'm like, where the hell did I order that box from? I go back on my email, and sure enough, it said Amazon. And I said, oh, I wonder if this third-party company is selling on Amazon. They have to be if I ordered it from Amazon. And then I'm like, I wonder if I can sell on Amazon. So I Googled sell on Amazon, and sure enough, I came across sellercentral.amazon.com. That was the day my life changed. I signed up for a free account. You can still do this today. They hide the free account, but back then it was obvious that you could sign up for a free account. They hide the free button now way down at the bottom of the website. But I signed up for a free account, and that book that I paid 25 cents for at the garage sale was sitting right next to me. I pick it up and I search for the title, and I see other books just like that in horrible condition that are selling for $30, $40, $50.
Ooh.
I took that book and I just took a picture of it, listed it on Amazon, went to sleep, woke up the next day, and that book sold for like 30 or 35 bucks.
Wow.
So I took 25 cents, flipped it into $30, $35. When I got my payout that next Tuesday, I saved my money, went garage selling again, bought a boatload of books from an antique collector that had passed away. His sister was selling his books. I had books from like Shakespeare and all kind of books, right? Like original Kentucky government books, all kind of stuff that I found at that sale. So I loaded the car down, go back home, and I start scanning through the books and listing them on Amazon, the ones that were profitable. So I would scan one book or search for one book, and I'm like, whoa, I paid $40 for, let's say, 200 books. And I would search a book, and it's like, oh, this one book right here is selling on Amazon in used condition for $200.
But this sounds like eBay.
Yeah, sounds like eBay. And people don't know you can sell used products on Amazon.
I did not know that.
Yep.
I
And
did
so
not know
used,
that.
yep. So I ended up making, in a couple of weeks, I took that $30 and some change that I had, and I flipped it into $2,000.
Wow. I bet
And
you're like,
I thought I was rich. I was like, I'm rich. And I ended up reinvesting that money and lost it all. Like, I probably
oh,
made $50 back. And I got depressed for a little bit. And then I'm like, hold up, man, I came up from 25 cent. I could find 25 cent laying in the sofa chair and the
yeah.
couch and do this all over again. And that's exactly what I did. I had no capital. I went around the house, digging in the couch, looking in the car, walking outside, finding coins, and just saved my money up to go to the garage sales again. And I started doing it all over again. I pull up to a garage sale that was being held by this lady by the name of Miss Barbara. She was going through a divorce, and she was selling a lot of her assets. She had this huge garage sale on the middle of Baytree Road. When I pull up in the driveway, these people are pulling these tall, 7 foot tall wooden nutcrackers off the
Oh, wow.
truck. I jump out the truck and I said, I want that. I just yelled over everybody, I want that. How much is that? This lady says to me, $5. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I gave her the $5 immediately. I call up my stepfather, Mr. Joe, you got to come help me take this nutcracker to the house. Like, I just bought a 7 foot tall solid wood nutcracker. This is crazy. They had two, but somebody else bought the other one. So long story short, he says to me, how much are you going to sell that for? I said, I don't know, like $200. He says, Robbie, you'll be lucky if you get $50 for this thing. I said, I'm going to sell it for $800. So you said that. So I get home. Sure enough, I listed on every platform. I listed on eBay and I listed on Amazon. It ended up selling on eBay for like, I don't know. It's like probably sold for $700.
Wow. I
And
thought you were
after
going to
the
say
eBay,
50.
yeah, after like the eBay fees and stuff, I think my profit might have been $400 or $500 because eBay took a lot of fees and they wanted
Yeah.
more. But anyway, and I shipped that to a resort in Florida, and I realized, like, man, this is capitalism. I'm taking a product that I bought for one price and I'm selling it for another price. I go on and do that, and I ended up making my first 60,000 within 3 months of starting on Amazon.
Wow. You must have
Just
been some serious putting stuff up, resell,
every
resell.
day resale. All I would go to Goodwill. When I really learned the game, I would go to Goodwill, go back to the back of Goodwill, get the college books that all the college students turned into Goodwill before
Oh,
they went home for the summer. And I would scan those books. And a lot of those textbooks were going, I would buy them for $2.99. Some of those books were selling for hundreds of dollars in
oh
used
yeah.
condition. And a lot of times I would scan them into the Amazon app, and I would have sold the book before I even paid for it at the register. And so I did that over and over again. And then I was like, I'm tired of going to garage sales. So long story short, I learned how to buy products from China and have them shipped to America. So I upped my game,
Mm-hmm.
and I got all kind of products shipped from China, stun guns and pepper spray, and I was the stun gun king. I had the whole city buying stun guns and pepper spray. I was selling from
Wow.
everybody to everybody, from real estate agents to teachers to even police officers would call me or message me on Facebook Marketplace and buy stun guns from me and pepper spray.
Wow.
And
You're resourceful. Let's give it to you. I'm telling you,
yeah,
you are resourceful.
And so that's how I raised my capital to start my actual first real company, which back then I thought I had a company, but I didn't have a company. I just was flipping products, you know.
Yeah.
I saved up that money and I started my first company, which was a web development company by the name of Southern Web.
Southern Web. Back
Yeah,
into
Southern
those
Web.
southern roots.
Right in the
Where do
southern
you live
roots.
right now, Robbie?
Indisclosed area, undisclosed area. No, I live in Marietta, Georgia, and my office is in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome. I know a lot of
yeah.
people vacation in Alpharetta, right? To fish and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a very, very rich place. I'll say that
Yeah.
it's beautiful, and I love it
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's amazing. I'm so proud of you for all that you've done. You've got to be proud of yourself. And I'm proud of your now wife who believed in you all of these years and had your back all along the way.
yeah, yeah.
Kellen
She
Ann
really did.
says
What's up, Kellen? Hey, Kellen.
you live down the street from me. Hi, Kellen Ann. I know Sarah Parker was asking if how your mom and younger brother are.
Yeah, they're really great places. Yeah, they turned out to be really really good. And I think it's everybody had their own way of healing, but
Yeah.
they ended up becoming really good people. Let go a
Mhm.
lot of the anger, especially my mom. She went through a lot, and she went through this phase where she was very angry at one point in life. You know,
Oh,
now
sure.
she's one of
You
the
were
happiest
too.
people I know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was too. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah,
And then
everybody turned out to be really well.
yeah, that's awesome. And Amy Newland said, "The Secret changed my life. I listen to The Greatest Secret by Rhonda every single day." Thanks for watching
Absolutely.
and listening in, Amy. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to ask you, and we are going to wrap up here in a little bit, but
Oh,
I
it's
I
over already? That's crazy.
it's crazy how fast the time goes. But I wanted to, not my main question yet because I'm not done with you yet, but I've
Okay.
watched you even talk about, and it really resonated with me when you talked about leaving friendships that weren't good for you any longer and
Yeah,
knowing who you are, and that in order to stay that way and on the path that you wanted to be on, you couldn't be in those lower vibration energies, really, is kind of what you're saying.
correct.
But
Yes.
I watched one of your Instagram posts, and it was talking about how some people try to steal your joy, or
Yeah.
they have something to say about your social media platforms and how
Yeah.
much you're out there or whatever. What do you say to that, and how do you handle that?
Well, I live a life of mental solitude. Like I don't really think about what other people think about me today. And that's because I removed myself from those people, you know, and what I always tell people is don't allow other people's opinion of you to stop you from posting your best life on social media. Because here's the thing, if you only post your good stuff, they'll say you're bragging. If you only post your bad stuff, they'll say you always complaining. They're going to talk about you anyway.
Yeah.
So what I do, I use my Instagram for as a vision board. I use it to keep track of all my wins
Yeah.
because the world is going to keep track of all my failures. And so that's why I'm always posting, you know, inspirational things. Like I just, you know, I'm getting into the film industry as an executive producer. Like I'm talking about those things because I want people to
Yeah.
know that you can change your life for the better as soon as you start working on your mindset. Neuroplasticity,
Mindset.
learn that, study that, understand what
Mhm.
neuroplasticity is, understand
Mhm.
that your brain is moldable. Your brain is not hardwired. You can recondition your brain. You can think new thoughts and wire new neurological connections. And so that's what I want people to know. But people are gonna talk, you know. I like Floyd Mayweather. Most people showed up to those fights to watch him lose.
Yeah.
he never gave them the satisfaction of that. He won every fight. You're gonna lose, you're gonna fall down in life though. But you know, I tell everybody this: if you're not creating content for social media, you're actually working harder. And the reason why is because every time you post a video, you're cloning yourself. And now that digital version of you is out there meeting people for you while the physical version of you is off living your life somewhere. If it wasn't for Debbie's digital version of herself, I wouldn't know who she was. But because she put out content, I saw it.
Mhm.
Lynn talked about it. Everybody in the mastermind group knows who you are. So because you put out that content, your digital self is out meeting people for you while the physical version of you is doing other things.
Man,
And
that
so
is pew! I've never thought of it like that. That's mind-blowing mic dropper. Let's go. In fact, since we're talking about mic dropping, do you have any
Margaret,
rap you can just come right in there? Even if it do you have a
it's
rap that has something to do with, like, mindset? Or
I,
is it
I
I'm
don't.
gonna have you back on and
I've put
no
out
pressure, Robbie.
I've played with a couple of things. I played with a couple of things a few months ago, but I can't remember what I said in it. Yeah,
Well,
but
give me
back in
one
the
of your
day, I could
old raps.
remember
Give me one of your
my
old
old
raps.
raps. Um,
Yeah, when you were out playing, when you're out
oh, it was
rapping.
like it was negative music.
I know. You know what's so funny? I remember this, and I can't remember all of it, and I can't remember who sang it. Now you're the down down of the neighborhood, and every time I see you're up to no good. You're just like a snake crawling on the ground, looking for some new dirt to spread around. Then you stick out your tongue, start spreading lies. Now the whole dang town's been victimized. You might stop for a minute, then you're at it again, and you always got to have the last word in. They call your mouth almighty tough. Okay, I want to stop. But see, like I can
Oh,
remember
I
stuff
like
like
that.
that from, like, the
You just made
'80s,
me
and I
remember
can't even
one.
remember, like, a name of someone else. It's crazy.
You
So
just
come
made me
on, give us
remember a
a rap.
rap.
See, I'm not a good
Okay,
rapper, and you are.
this was one that I haven't. This is one that I rapped a long time ago. It was money makes money. Money makes dreams come true like the sounds of a fat woman screams. Crack triple beams. I never did touch that, but still the crack fiends ask me where the dust at. Baggy black jeans made them stereotype me. I fell in love with music like the stereo like me. Beat after beat, I developed the style. Going nuts like that develops a child. I'm the hardest MC that you met in a while. Got more pills than a Winn-Dixie medicine owl. Don't trust me because I'm crooked like the president's smile. Rolling Stone ain't even close to settling down. Mama told me I'ma make it so I represent now. Trying to get my pockets full of dead presidents now. Now watch me blow. That was one I wrote like
Oh,
16 years old.
when you were, like, 16 and angry.
Yeah.
Oh my
16,
gosh, that's
wild.
awesome.
Yeah, wild.
My
But yeah,
sister just tuned.
I just want people to know, it's literally your mind. Like you will believe anything your brain tells you to believe. So why not tell your brain what to believe, because it's going to influence the rest of your body. And that's all I've done throughout the years. I've built 3 successful online companies, and most importantly, through my company Southern Web, we are responsible for probably over $1 billion worth of digital assets that companies trust us with from all around the United States.
Wow.
That's the power of what can happen. You can go from a child that grew up in a negative household to someone that has multiple companies, or you can write books, or you can do whatever you really are passionate about and whatever you're willing to program yourself to go after. So I just
And,
want people to know
that's
that.
amazing that you bring that up because over the last several years, I've really concentrated on I'm generally a positive person, and I try to always think
You
positively. But the
definitely seem like that to me.
the positivity, but then also adding the meditation, which I do, and prayer. I mean, prayer and meditation to me, for the way I do it, is an alignment. But
Yeah.
the thinking about the manifestations and all of that I've been doing. And I will tell you, I don't care if anybody thinks it's cuckoo crazy. It's working. It's working for me.
Right.
I know that it has been working for me. And so I'm with you, Robbie. I get it. And I want to ask you a question that I ask every single person that's on the show. You're the
Okay.
first person I've ever asked to rap, just FYI. Um, but the question I ask every guest is, in your life, what have you found that you can share with us to inspire us to find it too?
Become the life you want to experience. A lot of
Mm.
people want to attract a reality that they are not. And if you
Ooh.
try to attract a reality that you are not, you're going to continue to feel like manifestation doesn't work. Instead of trying to attract something, become something different. You have to become a different character. You can't continue to wear the uniform of a victim and expect to be a hero. You can't continue to see yourself as someone who is poor and expect to attract money. If you don't have any money, stop talking about not having it and start speaking and feeling as if you have everything that you want. That is called real faith. Faith is, I'm going to believe in this thing even when there's no physical evidence of it. And when you move that way, you now show God, you now show the universe that you truly have faith. A lot of people, they pray and then they go right back to worrying, where you're basically telling the universe that you don't believe that it's possible. But you have to become that person. You have to become a new person. Literally, like for instance, imagine that you are being hired to play a role in a movie and they say to you, hey, in this movie, you're going to play the role of a police officer. But then when you show up on set, you're dressed like a fireman. That's a mismatch. You need to wear the uniform of the reality you want to attract. Become that in the way that you think, the way that you speak, the way that you dress, the way that you feel. And you will literally start to become that, because life is a mirror and it's going to reflect back to you who you are showing up as. And that helped me, because after like a year of being happy and jolly, I'm like, I'm still broke. I I needed to become a millionaire before it ever happened. I needed to become a money magnet mentally, spiritually. I need to be grateful. And that's what really helped me out, because that gave me the fuel to take action on my dreams every single day.
Oh,
Mark Rodriguez. What's up, Mark
Mark
Rodriguez? A
Rodriguez
powerful
is
man.
in the house. He's
Mark
been tuning
Rodriguez.
in. He's been watching.
Man,
God love you guys for being here and
I
enjoying.
love
This
that
is
man.
yeah, I do too. And you have given some seriously amazing bits of advice that I really hope that all of us will take. Um, and I looked up something because I thought Cornelius. I know that name. Why do I know Cornelius?
Yeah.
But you know what? Do you know it's in the Bible, right?
I've been
It's
hearing that. Yeah, yeah.
I wrote this down. The name Cornelius is depicted in the New Testament as a God-fearing man who always prayed and was full of good works and deeds of alms. And then there's a
Wow.
whole lot more about it. But I thought I have to share that. That's really cool. Um,
That's phenomenal.
yeah, it is. And I feel like you do that though too. Like you help people. I mean, like right now,
That's what I'm
the
all
inform
about.
yeah, and the information that you're giving out and the delivery of your messages are just get ya. Love it. It's amazing. So I so appreciate you being here. I do want to make sure that we let people know who are listening. If they want to reach out to you, you're on all social media platforms.
Yeah.
But what can we put on it? Len, if you could do this, I would like to, or what's the best way for people to contact you if they want in your mastermind class or
Yeah, you can go to webassetgroup.com. We have an app. We have an app on the App Store, on Google Play.
Okay.
That's the best place. I always respond to people there.
Okay.
TikTok is a little crazy. I get so many messages on TikTok that it's just I can't process it
You
all.
can't keep up with
Um,
all of it. Yeah.
Instagram is a good place to probably hit me up. I don't check it that much because I don't have the app on my phone that much. Like I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram. Um, but definitely Web Asset Group is the number one place to contact me at.
Okay, so if people are just listening right now and you need to look at the screen, we have it on the ticker, webassetgroup.com, spelled
Yeah.
just like you think it would be. And you can contact Robbie there if you would like to sign up for any of his classes or any of the services that he offers.
Or
And
you could
find him
just
on
learn for
Instagram.
free. You can learn for
Yeah,
free on there too. We got a lot of free courses on, like, you could just go there and build a business.
that's very kind of you. I mean, and that's awesome of you. Is there anything, any parting words that you would like to share with this audience, Robbie?
Control yourself and free the world,
Mm,
and forgive everyone and everything that has ever done you wrong. It's the only way to be free. The only way. You got to forgive the emotions. Sometimes it's hard to forgive the person, but if you can forgive the emotions related to the person, you end up forgiving the person anyway.
wow. Yeah. Forgiveness
I might
sets you free,
it's
is what
it's
you're
it's
saying.
literally a tool that sets you free. You can't have a heavy heart and expect to live a life full of light.
That's amazing. Yep. Amen to that. I saw Trisha. Trisha Harp is here. Thank you guys all for watching. And with that, we're going to have our little after party that will load and I'll release it on a different date. Some stuff Robbie wants to share, perhaps, that we're not doing on this live show. So we're going to do that. So Robbie, hang tight, and everybody, toodles, and we'll see you next Wednesday, same time, different guest. Have a great night.
See you guys.
That floats around me, keeping me safe and sound. And when I fall, you tied a rope to me. You're blessing me every day. I was down.
We're tricking everybody. We are going to have to leave this because there's situations. So now we know.
Okay.
All right.
Go to the room.
So just stay here and we're going to end this for everybody else. See
Oh,
ya.
Okay.
hey guys.
Yeah.